Hello everyone, Joe here with another edition of 360 Comics. Thank you guys for joining me today, and I want to wish you a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas Eve and Merry Christmas tomorrow. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to watch my video and support the channel. It really does mean a lot to me. Today, we're going to talk all about key books from the 1990s and one book from the 2000s that you can still find in dollar bins. For whatever reason, these books are not super expensive yet, and I do find them out there in the wild in dollar bins from time to time. In fact, every book on this list I have found in a dollar bin at least 2 or 3 times in the last year. Before we dive into that list, I just want to let you guys know you can make my Christmas wish come true by just hitting that subscribe button, giving this video a thumbs up for a like, and leaving a comment down below. I'd really appreciate it. I've said it so many times, and I'll say it again, dollar bin hunting is one of my absolute favorite things about this hobby. Just going through and looking for a little bit of buried treasure among all the trash. You can turn $1 bill into a book that's been eluding you, a key issue, maybe a misprint, maybe a rare book. You can find so much stuff in dollar bins. You just have to take the time to look and have a little bit of knowledge up there to know what you're looking for. So this list is all books that kind of sell in the $10 and less value range, but have some key significance to them. And they're really only still found in dollar bins because of how many of them are out there. All of these books, with the exception of one, were printed in the 1990s when comics were printed at an astronomical volume. There were millions and millions and millions of some books printed, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, the exact print numbers and everything. But there's an abundance out there. There's a huge supply, and even if there is a demand, it's not enough demand right now to raise the price higher than that kind of $5 to $10 range. Who knows what the future could hold? Some of these books could definitely break above that $10 range, especially in a high grade or in the rare 90s newsstand version. Always look out for that, especially on these books that I'm showing you today. Let's get started. First up, we got a book that I've seen trip up comic dealers and comic store employees in the last year, them not knowing what it is. And some of it might have to do with how terrible this cover is. It's got that awful die-cut 90s heart in the middle, and it's like it unfolds from the middle as well. I forget everything about it, but it does not look good. This is the Incredible Hulk 418, and this does have not only some significance, but some MCU-related significance. This is the first appearance of Talos, and he originally was in, Captain Marvel, the Captain Marvel movie. We're probably going to see the character again. I know there's been some rumors about him appearing in Secret Invasion, which we 100% know is coming to the small screen. Probably we'll see the character again there, and possibly also in The Marvels, which is the sequel to Captain Marvel, coming out in 2022 on the big screen. Like I said, I've seen this in dollar bins. I've actually picked up 2 copies from dollar bins in the last year. Be careful, though, because due to the weird nature of the die cut and the split cover, it's pretty easy for pieces to get bent over, and that will lower the grade significantly. Obviously, for stuff from the 90s that was mass-produced like this, you really want it in a higher grade. But, for $1, picking up a key, even if it does have a little bit of wear and tear on it, is not too bad. Definitely a book to look out for. Next up, we've got another book with one of those gimmicks from the 90s on the cover. This one is the little holofoil area, and you got to watch out because there are some misprints with this foiling where the foil didn't come through and it's just a black rectangle there. Those are pretty rare, as are newsstand versions of this comic, but this one is in dollar bins everywhere, and I keep picking them up over and over again. We've got XFactor number 92, and the key significance of this book is it is the first appearance of Exodus. Exodus is a character who's a big level threat, kind of along the lines of maybe like like Apocalypse, but not as popular. Still in the XFactor run here, but definitely a character that could come along in the MCU at some point, probably much further down the line. Exodus is an Omega level mutant, so once they're going to start introducing those characters as super powerful beings, it's definitely a possibility. And like I said, this probably out of all the books on this list, this is the one that I found in dollar bins the most often. I think, no joke, I've probably bought 15 or 20 for $1 each this year alone. Definitely look out for this one. It's usually hidden among all of the XFactor books from this later part of the run, which are pretty worthless. You got to do a little bit of digging for this, but it's worthless. It's worth it. I've seen these kind of been selling in the $7 or $8 range in high grade, so definitely keep your eyes out. What might initially seem like a random XFactor book will make a lot of sense once I tell you the key significance of it. Right here, we've got the third appearance of Deadpool. Deadpool is a character whose popularity has gone through the roof in the past few years due to Ryan Reynolds' portrayal of him in the Deadpool solo films. We've gotten 2 already, and a third apparently on the way, hopefully. And I think the character is eventually going to be merged into the MCU. At least I hope so. Ryan Reynolds does a great job. The character adds so much both violence and comedic relief. Gotta love him. Anyway, the first appearance of Deadpool in New Mutants 98 is so sky high in value. It's priced most people out. People who are not willing to spend more than $100 or so on a comic. It's pretty high. 9/8 I think are pretty close to $1,000 at this point. But his second and third appearance are pretty cheap. Now, his second appearance, that one's gone up quite a bit, and you really can't find it in dollar bins anymore. I did find 1 or 2 this year, maybe, in a dollar bin, but you'll more often find this book right here, the third appearance of Deadpool. This kind of sells in the $5 range just because people pick up early appearances of characters that they really love. It's not just first appearances anymore. Second and third appearances are getting pulled up, especially if the first appearance becomes very expensive. Look at Wolverine. Tons of his keys are worth a lot of money because of the popularity of that character. Deadpool is similar. There are a bunch of cover appearances and things like that make his books valuable because people love Deadpool. And this is one of them. I've been kind of selling these in batches with number 2. A lot of people pick them up together just because they are the cheaper option to grab until you can afford that first appearance. With the third movie coming out, I could see this one definitely going up in value again, along with the second appearance and, of course, the first appearance of Deadpool. If you've been subscribed to the channel for a while, you probably already recognize this book right here because I pick it up a lot and I find it a lot in dollar bins, and I'll always pay $1 for this book, for sure. It's Spider-Man number 24, and the key significance here is that it's the first cover appearance and second full appearance of Doppelganger. It's also got this great cover with Spider-Man, Doppelganger, Hobgoblin, and Demogoblin on it. People love this 90s run of Spider-Man, a lot of nostalgia behind it, and Todd McFarlane starting off the run and everything. But even more so than that, the key of significance of this character, I think is a pretty good one to pick up because they're expanding the Spider-Man universe. We're getting 3 more films. That's now been confirmed. They're doing another trilogy. We thought Tom Holland might be leaving the role, but it seems like he's not. We've got the explosive popularity of Spider-Man No Way Home, getting a lot of people back into this character. And we've got an animated television show as well, Spider-Man Freshman Year, I think it's called. And they're just going to have to throw in a lot more villains. Hobgoblin is totally due for it. We know that. And these two, Demogoblin and Doppelganger, they could find their way in as well. Definitely really cool characters from the 90s to incorporate, especially for nostalgia purposes for people my age and a little bit older than me, people born in the 80s and 90s that grew up with these characters. Now, that being said, I'm really not going to pay more than $1 for this book, but I'll pay $1 all day for it. It kind of sells in the $5 to $10 range typically. And I think it's a great one to pick up, whether you just want to have the book for yourself or if you want to use it as a little piece of speculation. Before we move on to the DC books, I've still got one more Marvel book for you, or maybe I've got 5 Marvel books for you. We'll have to see. That being said, we've got X-Men #1 here from the Jim Lee 90s X-Men run, and this was a reboot of the team, continuing alongside the Uncanny X-Men run that was still coming out, and they started at #1, and because of that, they sold more comics than have ever been sold of a single issue before. Now, it probably also has to do with the variant covers, which is why I mentioned 5 books rather than 1, because there are 5 different covers. 8.1 million copies of this book sold, which is why you can still find it in dollar bins, even though it's an X-Men #1 of just the 2nd volume. It's got Jim Lee art, and it even has a preview of Omega Red, who is a character that is really gained a lot of popularity, had a lot of speculation behind him this past year, ended up not showing up, but certainly could in the future. Now, I did say it's got multiple covers. This is the Wolverine Cyclops cover, which I don't think they're numbered or lettered like there normally is a cover A, cover B, whatever. I think this is kind of before that whole variant cover thing really grew to prominence. This book might actually be what really set that into motion going into the future. This is, obviously the Psylocke and Colossus, Rogue, Storm. Oh, sorry, not Storm. What was that? Rogue. Oh, Gambit. Gambit's the other one on there. And this one's Beast, Storm, Archangel, Jean Grey, Professor X in the background. These are all the X-Men covers, and then we've got the Magneto cover. In my opinion, this one looks the coolest. I love this cover. Magneto just looks awesome. Him gracing any cover is perfect. And then this interesting one here, the wraparound cover. This actually unfolds to show you all of the covers on the inside. You can tell it's got this green up here, a little bit different than this version that also has Cyclops and Wolverine on the front, with the red up at the top and a different logo. So some people like picking up all of these. Some people like to pick up their favorite one. Whatever you do, look out for them in the dollar bin. They're worth more than $1. Not much. It's like a $5 book. Higher grade, maybe 10. I've seen people try to sell them for like 15, but I don't really think they sell at that price. Anyway, with the huge supply, I don't ever see this book becoming, more than like $20, but I could see it going up a little bit as this hobby grows. There's more collectors out there, and a lot of people do want all 5 versions of the cover, so that takes a lot out of the supply that's available out there. So look out for this one when you're digging through dollar bins. On to DC now. We've got another reboot from the early 90s. We've got Green Lantern #1 from 1990. I personally think this cover is fantastic. We've got Hal Jordan, we got John Stewart, we got Guy Gardner, all on the front cover. The 3, most popular of the Green Lanterns throughout the years. And, it just restarts the Green Lantern storyline. It's this run that gives us Kyle Rayner. Now, this book does not really have any key significance other than it being a #1. But for that reason alone, people do pick it up. And, I usually see it selling for $5, $7, $8. Not super expensive, but that being said, it's a great one to look for if you are going through dollar bins. There are not a whole lot of keys in the beginning part of this run. So this is definitely one to look out for among the trash that's usually surrounding it. That being said, if you're a Green Lantern fan, it's a great run to pick up if you are just looking for some stuff to read because it's very inexpensive. So look out for this one. I think due to how good the cover is, it does have some potential to grow a little bit, but because it's not really a key, it's just a first issue, that's probably really limited, and the fact that it's from the 90s and was mass printed. Next up, we got the only book from the 2000s here. Every other one of these books is from the 1990s when comics were mass printed. This is from the 2000s, and I think this just slips through people's fingers a lot. I think that they just either don't know about this or don't look hard enough and end up not finding this, which is why I found 3 copies in dollar bins in the last year alone. Definitely keep an eye out for this one. This is Batman 657. This is the third appearance, second full appearance, and first cover appearance of Damian Wayne. He's right up here on the cover. Awesome cover, in my opinion, with the white background and Robin and Batman kind of dealing with Damian and the crap that he pulls. I think it's a perfect introduction to the character. 655 and 656, you really can't find those in dollar bins anywhere. That's the first cameo and first full appearance of Damian Wayne, and those are pretty pricey books at this point. But this one, I feel like people miss it. For some reason, people miss this one. 658's not bad either, but this definitely has some more significance to it, being that it is Damian's first cover appearance. So keep an eye out for this one, as well as the rest of these. Up next, we got another mass-printed book from the 1990s, The Adventures of Superman, number 500. Now, I think this would be a much more expensive book had there not been a bazillion of these printed. I'm not sure about the actual print run, but these are everywhere. That being said, I've seen them sell for $5 and even like $10 to $15 in high grade. It is a square-bound book, so it is a little bit harder to get that 9/8 on. But they definitely are out there, still available, and I find these in dollar bins all the time. This is probably the one that I find the second most out of all these books on the list in dollar bins, just because of how many are out there printed. Now, this is the first cameo appearance of not only Steel, but Superboy as well. Con-El Superboy, who is the Superboy who is currently in the Titans television show, and honestly, I've said this before, I think. He's my favorite part of that show. He's a great character. If you're not watching Titans, I think you're missing out. I know the first season was a little hard to get through, but the second season's better, and the third season's even better than that, and I hope they keep doing it. But anyway, first cameo appearance of both Superboy and Steel. It's a mass-printed book. Also, look out for this version because there was a cover B that looks like this. Adventures of Superman number 500. Same inside, just a different cover. There was also a platinum edition, which I believe it looks like this, but it's gold instead of black in the background. And that came in a different looking poly bag as well. These did come in poly bags, but that was different. That's an expensive book. I don't expect you to find that in a dollar bin anytime, but definitely keep on the lookout for these two. And hey, if you do find the platinum edition, good for you. That's a killer find. Definitely over $100. And that being said, all of these books here, remember to look out for the newsstand edition as well. Those are even better of a pickup than the direct edition because newsstand was more rare in the 90s. Starting in 1986, the number of newsstand editions started going down. The number of direct editions started going up. So if you see that barcode, definitely pick that one up, especially when you can get it for $1. Thanks for watching the video today, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone has a happy holiday. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and leave a comment on your way out. It's a great way to support the channel for free, and I much appreciate it. And until next time, turn the page, wash your hands.